Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jets Afterburners, a special edition here on this Saturday, which we have like an amazing guest here, Jeff Bowers, again from Sport Narrative on X. He is a draft analyst. So, Jeff, welcome aboard, brother.
Hey, man, good to be here. It's this is Jets Super Bowl time when we got draft week, man. This is the thing we looked for the most of the time. We got new uniforms. We got Rodgers back in the building, man. It's a good time to it's a good time.
And I love this because New York in general right now is the talk of the town everywhere across the nation. You got the Jets, obviously, off-season heroes, right?
No doubt.
At 10, they could do anything they want. Then you jump on other sports. The Knicks played today at 6 against Philly. My prediction, bring out the brooms, man. I don't care about Philly. Bring out the brooms. Bring them out. You know, I got my old jersey here. I mean, I haven't worn it like in 7 years. It's very tight. I know. It looks like an Under Armour. I understand.
Yes.
I put on some pounds back in the day. Like, you know, it took me some time.
Since the last time the Knicks were in this position, it's been a while, man.
Exactly. And again, the Islanders play today, and then the Rangers play tomorrow, my team. Both of them, I root for both of them, so there's no ill will. Just the Giants. The Giants are the only team that I do not care for. Not a big fan of the Giants. No,
I understand completely. I live in Dallas. I deal with Cowboys fans all the time. Trust me, bro. I get arrogant fans. So yeah, no worries.
Oh my God. So wait, you're in Dallas, and how does this work here? You're a Jet fan. How did you become a Jet fan?
Okay, so here's a great story. So It's 1996. I'm a senior in high school. You know, this is the height of the Cowboys and all this stuff. But of course, they're getting in all the trouble. It's Jerry Jones. It's the breakup with Jimmy. It's all of those things, right? And I just couldn't bring myself to root for the Cowboys anymore. I was like, God, I don't like this team. I don't want Jerry Jones to host a trophy. I'm over it. So I look around and I say, okay, I got to find a team, right? And I look around and I see this 5'10", 190-something pound dude out of Hofstra walking onto the Jets. There it is right there. And I was like, dude, and again, I'm playing wide receiver. This is a great story. So Wayne Corbett, and I was like, man, I'm signing on. Now, those first couple of years were a little rough, but then, of course, you had the magical run in 98 when we should have won it all, if not for the fiasco in Denver. And then, and then a rough patch, and then we had the Rex Ryan run, back-to-back AFC championships. And then this 10 years of wandering in the desert. But hey, Rodgers in the building, running out with the flag last year was the highest of highs you could get. And then, oh my God, it went so bad. Because Jets, baby. That's how it is.
Oh my God. I mean, to me, I get it. Last year sucked. You know what I mean? That first game. But it wasn't as bad as Vinny going down in 99. To me, that one. Because at least we can, David, yes, exactly. Bringing reminiscent of Denver, Keith Byers, dropping it culminated into one game. Like that whole season was like, holy smokes. First game of the season against the Niners, we were neck and neck with them, man, against Steve Young.
Yep.
With Glenn Foley. I mean, that was my guy. I love Boston College. It's not my college. I mean, I'm a big Notre Dame fan, but
how could you not root for Glenn Foley though, man? I mean, the dude just tried so hard, it was just,
it's funny you say that because last year I got a great opportunity to interview him. Such a Jersey dude, man. Such a Jersey guy, filthy mouth, loved it. You know what I mean? So it was
amazing.
great, cool guy. And he was like, look, if I was there in 99, had they not, shipped me out to Seattle, he would have been the backup. And I think the Jets would not have missed a step in 99. But again, a little bit of blame towards
that team was so stacked, man. They had everything you wanted right then. And like you said, you just needed the trigger, man. We've seen that over the last couple of years here, where it feels like, man, the defense is so good, and you just needed the trigger, man. Woody puts down the edict to go get Rodgers, and like I said, this year we got a bunch of mercenaries. You bring in all the old guys. You try to do it up. I mean, if we're the 97 Marlins and we buy ourselves a ring, I'm fine with that, man. I am fine with that.
100%, without a doubt, man. And again, this brings us to full circle here. We got Aaron Rodgers last year. We moved heaven and earth to get him. We don't have a second rounder this year. And just like Joe Douglas's press conference yesterday, he said, 15 out of 10 times he would take that deal, not having a second rounder. And if that's what it cost the Jets, in hindsight, to possibly winning it all. I mean, this is Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. Last year when we got him, it was win a Super Bowl in 3 years.
Yep.
Last year, dude went down. We did not have an offensive line. We didn't have it. So hopefully at 10, we could address something, even though we got Tyron Smith, we got Morgan Moses, we got Simpson at guard. Tippmann is coming into his own in his second year. I'm expecting a lot out of Tippmann, especially the amazing great centers that we had in the past with Mawai, Mangold, and even the 69 team there. Even the 80s with Jim Sweeney. Yep. You can't forget about Jim Sweeney.
No, absolutely not.
So we're building a wall there, and now it's year 2. And to me, this is the tightest of tight windows because we do not know what can happen in 2025. Isn't Aaron Rodgers an enigma? We don't know if after the season, win the Super Bowl or not, he says, I'm done. I'm over. It's been great. But he's vested. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm an old 19.
No, you're good. I mean, heck, he could have absolutely. I mean, hell, he could have been vice president, right?
Right.
With RFK. Like you're right. Rodgers is a total wild card.
Right.
And look at it this way. This season, let's live in fantasy land for a minute. The season goes magically. We get all the way to the Super Bowl down in New Orleans. They're playing the Packers, which is a distinct possibility. He beats his old team. He runs off the field, number 1 in the air, all the things, right? Who's to say he wants to come back? Who's to say he's going to run it back? He might just say, you know what? Cool. That was the storyline. Peace out. I'm out. Right?
Done.
So you're right. It is truly an all-in year. It is truly, just damn the torpedoes. We absolutely have to go. And dude, great point right there from the comment. Like, this is why everyone says, look, I get you need depth at offensive line. I get you need all of these things. And of course, Joe D is gonna focus on those things. Right. But at the same time, man, it is loaded up. It is, do I like OBJ? No. But do we sign him? Sure. Fine. Bring it, everybody. Don't care. Let's go.
100%. And that's the beauty of this draft, right? I was in one of the Jet spaces this morning, and they're great. I mean, I love going on Twitter, listening to so many different perspectives.
Jets fans on Twitter are amazing. I mean, they're toxic at times, but they're amazing.
But that's the beauty of being a Jets fan and going through all these years, highs, more lows in the valleys than anything else. But when has the last time as a Jet fan, you're looking at the draft and you're saying any scenario, any which way, it will work out? Let me preface it. We're at 10. We stay at 10. Shoot. We can get an offensive tackle. We can get a weapon at wide receiver. Or we trade up. Let's say Joe Alt falls at 7. Yeah. Everyone's saying that the Titans are high on him. But there are some rumors that you're saying that the Titans are also high on Brock Bowers.
I've heard that as well.
If you trade with them and Tennessee goes to 10, we get to 7, we have our legitimate left tackle for the next 10 years or more, a.k.a. like the Brickshaw, who went down the road from me in Freeport.
Yep.
And then the Titans get Brock Bowers at 10. I mean, I don't see anyone trading into the top 9, right, to leapfrog the Titans to get Brock Bowers. I don't see it. Even though I love Brock Bowers. Call me what it is. I'm a Bowers boy. I'm a Bowers boy.
Illegitimate son.
Oh, that's right.
You think I don't want that jersey? Come on, man. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in on it.
You get him. You know what the argument is a lot of times that I'm hearing, and I'm not against it. I understand it fully. They're saying, why are you going to get an offensive tackle if you spent so much money on Tyron and Morgan Moses? The answer is pretty simple, Jeff, isn't it?
Yes. So here's the interesting thing. Oh, I got dogs barking. Hang on.
Yeah, baby. It's like Arsenio Hall, baby, in here. I love it. I love it.
There you go. We're all taking off.
He's not for the trading up. I don't.
No. He's absolutely against it. Absolutely against it. All right. So, with that being said, live radio, I love it. Okay, so the way I look at it is this: you're like first of all, a good GM. The whole idea of walking into the draft is to have most of the holes filled, so that when you walk in, you can take best player available at every position, whatever falls to you. You know, somebody falls in your lap, you just say, hey, you know what? Let's go. Right. And it gives you that flexibility. And Joe D has done that. You know, I mean, last year we walked into the draft, we were all saying, oh my gosh, we have to have the offensive tackle. We have to have the offensive tackle. You know, Belichick screws us once again with the trade up with Pittsburgh. You can't tell me that that's not what they were going to take. I know they put out all this propaganda media to tell me differently, but absolutely don't buy it. You needed that guy. You didn't get it. And now you're scrambling, right? So with this year, it feels like they've done a really good job in filling most of those holes so that it does become a, hey, you know what? I can take this. I can do this. Here's the other thing that I think fans really miss when it comes to the draft. And it's a thing that I've kind of pioneered and written some articles on it called the vertical draft method, right? It's where you're not just looking at things on a horizontal basis of saying like, okay, here comes the picks, you know, here comes the guys that I want, whatever. You're looking at it in a vertical stack where you're saying it's more about, I can get this guy in this round and this guy in this round and this guy in this round, right? So like if I say, I've got that 3rd round pick, I say, you know, is there offensive tackles there that I like? And there are. There's the Amagaji out of Yale. There's Rosengarten. There's these guys that I can come in and can be good quality depth. They have been starters in college. You know, the Rosengarten out of Washington. Perhaps Patrick Paul if he slips a little bit out of Houston. So those guys could be in that mix. So, okay, I've got tackles there. Are there weapons there that I like? Kinda, you know, there's Corley, there's Malik Washington, there's some of these other guys. Are they going to have the same impact? And that's when you start to kind of center that board to say, okay, there's a lot of great tackles at the top, but maybe I can get that tackle in the 3rd, right? So if we draft Brock Bowers at the top and all the Bowers haters that are on X absolutely freak out and say, oh my gosh, Aaron Rodgers is going to get injured, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Greedy, for that. That's when you say, wait. The draft is a whole thing. It's 3 days, man. It's like Woodstock, baby. It's 3 days. We gotta let this thing play out. And so if they come in and he takes that tackle in the 3rd round, he takes a safety in the 4th round, which there's some guys there. Taylor Demerson out of Tech, I absolutely love. Mustafa, the safety from Wake Forest, is a Jordan Whitehead clone, only he can actually tackle.
And he was really good in The Lion King.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, man, I love those guys. Like you get that depth of quality, and you know, heck, maybe you say we take Brock Bowers at 10, we take a guy like Malik Washington in the 4th. If he slides to that spot, just double up. Why not load this thing up? Right. Get yourself a defensive tackle in the later rounds. Get yourself a backup quarterback that you can develop in this draft. That's the thing that, as you look at it, the draft becomes a place where it's the whole product. It's what you walk away with. And that's where I think this thing will be, you know, it gets past the ESPN. Let's just talk about the 1st round every week.
I couldn't agree more because again, as David Cohan said, let's try to see if we could trade down and recoup a second rounder, which I think ultimately, I know a lot of people are calling me crazy, but I think at 10, the Raiders, who are hungry for a quarterback,
true,
they might trade up. They might trade up for us. I think they do have a second rounder, if I'm not mistaken.
They do. Yes,
they do. You trade from 13. They trade from 13 to 10. And I know a lot of people aren't talking about him, but I think out of all these quarterbacks, when they're all taken, Michael Penix is up there. He might be taken.
Absolutely. So this happens every year. There are draft truisms. I've covered the draft for 15 years. Used to go to Radio City every year. I managed to weasel my way into the draft day movie, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. I'm in a couple
Kevin
scenes
Costner.
of the draft day movie. Yes, totally. I'm sitting at the, we managed to, the head producers come down and they're like, hey, does anybody want to volunteer? And me and my buddy shoot our hands up, right? And we're like, so we end up at the Minnesota Vikings table. Like Frank Langella's walking right by me. Like, of course, I didn't have a beard then, so I look a little bit younger. But yeah, it's great. Anyway, all the days of being in Radio City, all the days on the move, all of these things, right? Quarterbacks always rise. Wide receivers always slip. Always. So, and what I think you could see here. So here's a couple of the scenarios. So you talked about trade up at first. You're sitting at 10. I personally think that after we get quarterbacks all at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, however that works, maybe the Cardinals stick and pick with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think the Chargers are where this draft really opens up. Will they trade back? Will they take Joe Alt? Because I think if they get stuck there, I think Joe Alt is the pick for them. I think Harbaugh does not give a dang about wide receivers. I think he wants big bodies. He wants to run the ball. Justin Herbert is going to turn into a handoff machine, right?
Right.
So, and I think you're also going to see the Giants trying to move up because I think they want J.J. McCarthy. I think they're willing to make a move. And so all of that jockeying that happens in there, and then you get to the Titans. Well, let's say the Chargers do take Joe Alt and the Titans get to 7 and they say, well, are we going to take the next best offensive tackle, Olu Fashanu or whoever you think that might be in his tiny hands? By the way, not a fan of Olu Fashanu. I don't want him at 10 at all. But
I like Fuaga. I have Fuaga second.
Yes, Fuaga for up is there. Fautanu out of Washington. Both of those guys for me are the thing. So I think that's how that jockey's out there. But if the Titans at 7, the Falcons, which we're now starting to hear, maybe they're going to come off of Dallas Turner and take one of the cornerbacks. Right. So maybe they are interested in a little bit of a trade up. I know Samini talked about trading up with the Falcons and all of that. So you could make that leap. My problem is without the second round pick, you really limit what you can do, as we talked about with that vertical drafting, not being able to get all the other positions you want.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
But again, you get a player, if it's Roma Dunze, if it's Malik Neighbors. Honestly, I think of the 3 wide receivers, I think Neighbors will be the last one available.
Okay.
So,
Marvin, obviously. And then you got a Dunze.
Yeah, I think Neighbors is the guy that I think, you've got some off-field red flags. He's got a little bit of a rap sheet. There's some stuff there that the diva side of that could cause some teams, the old school teams to say, we don't want to deal with that, right? I mean, everybody had Neighbors going to the Giants, and I'm like, wait a minute, they did that playbook. They did OBJ, right?
Exactly.
We've been down a diva wide receiver from LSU who's super electric. So I would be highly skeptical of that, but
yeah, I don't think so. There's no way.
I think it's a dude's thing.
Because if the Giants select a quarterback, it gives Daboll maybe another 2 more years.
Exactly. I think Daboll will be pounding the table to get the quarterback to say, look, this isn't what I envisioned here, man. And, obviously Daniel Jones has all the health stuff as well. So it's not like he's coming in healthy. So anyway, enough about the Giants. The other team I think is very interested in the trade is the Bears, right?
Another one.
The Bears only have 4 picks in this draft. I think there's very much a chance that, you're moving that one spot up. Now, here's the worry for me. You got a team like the Colts who are really interested in getting that wide receiver. Maybe Jacksonville as well. The Colts are at 15. Jacksonville's at 17. Are they willing to make that jump up to the Bears and jump ahead of us to get the last wide receiver? right? We've also heard the Colts also are pretty much the floor for Brock Bowers as well at 15. I don't think he'll get that far, but
I don't think so either, man.
Right, but I have heard that as well. You know, if people are saying about the value of a tight end, blah blah blah. I think you made this point earlier about drafting the tight end versus offensive line. Well, look, tight end is an offensive lineman's best friend, right? If we're in 12 personnel with Conklin and Bowers on the field, Bowers is strong enough to be an inline tight end. Then you make Conklin the move tight end, and now you have so much ability. And think about those two guys blocking on the edge with Breece Hall back there. I mean, we're not even talking about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, hand the ball off, man.
Jeff, so, you want to hear this? This is hysterical.
Yes,
this is coming full circle in a negative way.
Uh-oh.
Think of this. The mastermind of having a 2 tight end system was back in 95 with Rich Kotite when he visioned this coupling Johnny Mitchell with Kyle Brady.
Kyle Brady, Johnny Mitchell.
And then you had someone by the name of Bill Belichick who took a page out of that dude.
Yep.
And did a monster tandem. Obviously, it didn't work out because the guy is a freaking murderer with Hernandez.
I mean, the murderer and the idiot. That was a really good work there for a while, though.
But had he stayed out of that nonsense, it would have been the greatest tandem of tight ends. Now, fast forward to this year, having Conklin and Bowers. How do you stop that? Like, how do you do that? And again, the draft isn't over. That's the beauty about this whole entire thing, is that if the Jets move back, hear me out here. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. The Jets move back, say to 13, and Bowers is there.
Yeah.
And now with the second round pick, you're still going at weapons, and you pick up Xavier Leggett out of South Carolina.
And again, AJ Brown starter kit. Absolutely.
That's the thing. Like, yes, maybe at 13, we might not go with Bowers. We might go with, again, a Fuaga, who I'm really high on, as I said before. Latham is, it's dividing the Jets fan base. A lot of them like him. A lot of them don't. I'm
mixed on him. I've got him lower than all the others. I think he's the last one of that tier. Right. When we talk about Fashanu and Fuaga and Fautanu, all the F guys, and then Latham is kind of the last of those for me.
Right.
Let me give you a scenario though, and this is one of the things that I always caution people, because there's always the draft people like trade down, get more picks, right? Okay, so let's say we're sitting at 10. Let's say for some reason we decide we get a great offer from the Colts, let's say, to come up.
Okay.
At 15 or 16, something like that. We get somebody, so we're going to drop right into the teens area.
Yep.
We drop back. The next pick, let's say the Chargers are sitting at 11 with the trade down with Minnesota. Fuaga goes. The Broncos very easily could take a tackle. Fashanu goes. The Raiders definitely need a tackle. They take, Fautanu or Latham. And then at 14, the Saints, they need a tackle. Boom, board is cleared. And now you're sitting there going, uh-oh.
What do I do? At that point, I would
Brian Thomas.
You nailed it. To me, the comp of Brian Thomas, even though he is raw, he does, like, the ceiling to me with Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU, the ceiling is Brandon Marshall. The basement is Stephen Hill.
Ooh.
Like it's there's no in between.
That's a flooded basement, bro.
Flooded. That's the thing to me. It's like, all right, you got Aaron Rodgers. If he can make Alan Lazard look kind of like an NFL player, and then you remove Aaron Rodgers and you see what you get with Lazard. Like, we want to get rid of him. We definitely do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point of getting, the wide receiver from the Chargers, to kind of supplant him.
Yeah. Mike Williams is to be that X receiver,
Yep.
So one of the things that was talk about just Lazard real quick, and then we'll come back to this.
Yep.
One of the things that I think they really tried to do, by the way, I do like Zach Center there.
Yep.
One of the things I think they really tried to do last year, was go with that big slot receiver, right? This is back to the old Quincy Enunwa days, right?
Yep.
And that was the idea for Lazard was going to be the big slot receiver and Corey Davis was going to be the outside receiver, right?
Right.
And you think about that from just a blocking aspect. Corey Davis is a killer run blocker. And so you've got that and Lazard trying to block a nickel corner. Dude, you just blow people away with that, right? And then you body up Lazard and all of that. When Corey Davis retired, you had to switch Lazard outside. You then had to go Smurfy at the slot receiver with Gibson and, the other knucklehead that we shall not name. That became that just kind of threw everything into flux. And then, of course, Zach Wilson, blah, blah, blah. So I think that is something that could come back. Like you could bring that beat back. Mike Williams on the outside, Garrett Wilson on the other side, and Lazard is that big slot player if he's here. Now, this is the thing that people say. When you're drafting Brock Bowers, you're not replacing Ty Conklin. You're replacing Alan Lazard. And if you could give that guy away for a bag of beans, you absolutely would do it. It's nice to see that he showed up to the OTAs. It's nice to see he's out there with Aaron. Maybe Aaron can fix him. But dude, that guy quit on us last year. So, it is hard to win back the hearts and minds of Jets fans when it comes to that. Brian Thomas is, to me, a Mike Williams clone. He is a vertical threat down the field, jump ball getter. That's his game. Now, does he have more to the game? I hope so. I think so. He just really wasn't asked to do that at LSU because everything that Jaden Daniels did was pitch it long, right? That guy didn't throw over the middle. So I think Brian Thomas gives you that depth really behind Mike Williams more than anything else is that outside receiver. And then you pair him up with Garrett Wilson long-term. He's your X. Garrett Wilson can be your Y or your Z, moving him around, doing all the things that Garrett Wilson can do. So I think that that is probably the fallback position. And I know they've done some good work on Brian Thomas. If you got the trade back, assuming that the tackles would go, I think it kind of goes like this for me. It's Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors as option is plan A. If it's there, plan A. If it's close to like he's at 8 or 9 and you can get a trade up without giving away too many assets, maybe assets next year, that's plan B. Plan C for me is the trade back. If somebody's willing, but you got to have a dance partner. And that's the thing is people don't trade up for stuff unless it's a quarterback or unless it's a premium position.
Yep.
But also you gotta be careful, as we were just saying. Just trading back to 15 could wipe out the board. What if the Eagles call? The Eagles call and say, "Hey, we want Quinion Mitchell. You're going to drop to 22. We'll give you a second and a third." Man, that sounds really good. But at 22, what am I getting? Now I'm looking at A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy. I'm in that realm of wide receivers. I've taken a full talent tier down, and that becomes an issue.
So that same scenario. Yep. Let's say we tell the Eagles, because again, let's not forget, Joe Douglas fleeces teams.
That is true.
He got a 5th for Blake Cashman, who is actually playing really well in Houston.
Dude, Cashman's been great.
Cashman, he breathed here at 1J Drive and he would get injured.
Yep.
And he got a 5th. He got 2 first-rounders. Let's not forget that. That's enormous here for a box safety in which Seattle traded for.
And by the way, you can sign for a song.
You could sign him again. You could sign him again, and then trade him back to the Seattle Seahawks. For
Exactly.
Now Philly calls, and they really want this guy because keep in mind, Philly is one of those teams where they're just like a player away from winning another Super Bowl.
Exactly.
So let's say Joe says, all right, cool. You want to come up here to 10, whatever the case is, give me another first. Give me a first next year. I think Philly would do it because it would be more like a high 2nd round pick. Right. Now, it's an enormous risk for the Eagles because God forbid something happens to their quarterback who runs a lot. They do that tush push. A lot of garbage can happen there.
And that O-line got a little bit less.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, I think Joe would say, okay, let's do it. Give me your 2nd this year and your 1st next year. And I think the Eagles, if they feel it, that's the missing part, they'll do it. I think they'll do it, and we come out champions, man. Because it puts us, I'm sorry, but it puts us into a great solidified position for next year in the event Rodgers says bye.
Away.
Now we have 2 first-rounders where we could always trade up to get the guy that we covet.
And you see what Minnesota's doing right now, right? They got the 2 firsts, and they're going to package those to move up to get the guy that they want. Like that totally makes sense. Now, as far as quarterback goes, which is a nice little transmission there. I think this is, Joe D has already talked about, he wants to become a quarterback factory. They want to start drafting kids. This is a great time to do it. You got we got a 35-year-old backup. It's a great time that you're going to be able to get this guy a lot of reps. I know you said you had in a mock draft, you had Joe Milton. I love Joe Milton's arm. I just don't know where it's going, and neither does he. I have somewhere around a 5th or 6th round grade on Milton.
Yep. Okay.
I think you might be able to get him with that 6, but the guy that I love, the guy that I talked to at the Shrine Bowl this year, the guy that the Jets have had in, by the way, kind of went under the radar the same day as Brock Bowers is there and Aaron Rodgers is walking in the building. This guy was there too. Jordan Travis out of Florida State. This kid is a leader. He has got mobility. He was a runner before, and he learned how to be a passer at Florida State in this last year. He knows how to throw to big-time receivers. Obviously, they had a couple of big-time guys there this year. Like I said, and the great thing about it is the kid loves ball. The kid listens to Zach Brown Band. He's just a good old country dude, man. And I think that is the guy I would absolutely hitch my wagon to. If he's there in the 6th, even if I got to move up a little bit, that is the guy that I want. I want Jordan Travis. And by the way, as I was walking out of the Star in Frisco, I run into a big group of Jets scouts.
Right.
And I lean over to them and I say, hey, tell Joe D, Jordan Travis, no matter what.
Well.
And he goes, that's a good idea. So if it happens, I'm taking credit. That's all I'm saying.
Jermaine Johnson has been an enormous advocate to trade him. Now,
Seminole guys.
100%. And just for the crowd that didn't understand what Joe Douglas was saying yesterday of that quarterback factory with the Packers, let me put things in perspective. Keep in mind, Brett Favre is your starter. They had Kurt Warner, Ty Detmer, Mark Brunell, Matt Hasselbeck, and Aaron Brooks. How sick is that?
Oh, yeah.
We've been waiting for anything like that. Anything. For over 50 plus years. That is what Joe Douglas is talking about. You have someone like Travis there, and even in the 5th, man. You're probably going to shoot me down on this one. We have 2 4ths.
Yep.
I would use one of them on him, and I really like Spencer Rattler. I like him a lot, man. What do you think about him? It's hit or miss, and I think I'm missing right here. But tell me about him. Tell me about him.
Okay. So the thing about Spencer Rattler, the worry. So this is a new phenomenon that we're all going to have to kind of figure this out. But the new phenomenon is, what do I do with a 24-year-old quarterback in college? Right? Like, this is a dude who has been through, because of COVID, because the extra eligibility, because of transferring. Spencer Rattler at OU was a disaster. He came in super heralded. He had his own logo, he had everything. He was the front lines of the NIL run. It all blew up. He goes to South Carolina. He's okay. He does fine. Mm-hmm. I see the tape and I go, okay, I can see it. I think, to me, Spencer Rattler tops out as a really good backup quarterback, right? Okay. I don't ever want that dude starting. But, if he's got to come in and play a few games or whatever, he could hold your season together. He's a little bit too much Sam Howell for me, right? Where dude, there's a lot of great traits there, but also that dude will totally throw you the other team the football, right? So
kind of like Zach.
Yeah, exactly. You see the traits, but you can't fall in love with traits. The other guy, I think, if it's not Jordan Travis, I think it's Michael Pratt out of Tulane. It's another guy they had in. I know they really like him. Again, maybe he ceilings out at that top end backup, but I think Michael Pratt has that ability to maybe don't mention Christian Hackenberg. That's a crime. I punched Radio City Music Hall in the walls of Radio City when that pick happened.
God. Oh.
Anyway, but yeah, I think Michael Pratt is a possibility. I think Jordan Travis, and I think you're right there in that late fourth, that pick 135. I think that is an ideal spot to either draft him, to see what the board looks like. Are some of those other guys there? Is it starting to get picked over? I've done about 800,000 PFN mock draft machines. And if I don't take Pratt at 135, Travis or Pratt by 135, he's usually gone. So
yeah, I think so.
That's a great spot for that. So when we talk about the rest of the draft, we're talking about a weapon. We're talking about an offensive tackle, probably the first two picks in some order. And then, like I said, safety is a big need on this team. You've got Chuck Clark. You got Tony Adams. But, man, when was the last time, we talk about not having a good quarterback. When was the last time we had a really great safety? A safety that just got it, right?
Eric McMillan.
Yeah, McMillan, James Hasty.
Yes, sir.
Jim Leonard was a favorite of mine. My very first Jets jersey was Jim Leonard. So
I know where you're going with this because it's wild. Because after the draft, you still have some commodities out there with the safety position. You have Quandre Diggs, Micah Hyde, and Justin Simmons, who still hasn't been signed yet. But with that being said, if this guy drops to the third, which I would actually take in the second if we do get some sort of compensation for that 10th, I love Cameron Kitchens out of the Hurricanes. I like him. He is a heavy hitter.
Again, I'll give you the big sigh.
Man. He is a heavy hitter, ball hawk. He's there, man. I think he has tremendous upside. Please tell me why you do not agree with this one here.
Okay. I think Cam Kitchens has all of the traits and everything you want to be an absolute superstar. As you say, the guy he can move, he can track the ball in the air. He's big. He can, lay the wood. He can do all of those things. Did you see the game? What was it? Was it Georgia Tech? Where it's the end of the game and you'll have flashbacks. It's the end of the game. It's a Hail Mary throw. He's the deep safety. He's the last man back, and he lets a dude get behind him. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's zero coverage, just like the famous Greg Williams. Let's call zero blitz on the last play of the game.
Well, he knew the game plan. Greg Williams knew the game plan. He had to. We were looking for Lawrence.
Yeah, let's tank. Yes. So that's, to me, the Kitchens, I worry about the mental side. I worry about the making smart choices. Do I trust him on the back end, right? That's my biggest concern. It was the thing I thought about Whitehead. Like, dude, Whitehead would make these incredible plays, and then he would totally botch a tackle, and the dude would run for 20 more yards, especially against the Patriots, and it would make me crazy. So I want competence. I want somebody that can do it. So in this safety class, the guys I really like, if you're looking third round, I know Dane Brugler and his big mock for the Athletic had Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota. I think he's a do everything safety. He can get it done. Jaden Hicks would be a dream. 6'3", 210, can play deep, can play in the box, can do it all. But taking a step down from that, Cole Bishop out of Utah, I think I really like as a deep safety. I really like Taylor Demerson out of Texas Tech. He's a guy that was a running back all through high school. Mm-hmm. And he had committed to a school, and the coach moves to Tech to be the defensive coordinator. And he says, I'll move. And they get to Tech and they say, we don't have any room for running backs. And he says, fine, put me wherever. And he plays safety like a running back. Like he just, boom, just lays it down. Now he's raw. He needs work, all of that stuff. But he's there in the fourth, man. I love that kid. So it's, and we mentioned Malik Mustafa is another guy that can absolutely lay the wood. So I really like safety with that early fourth round pick. I think there'll be a lot of good choices there. If you don't do it there, we give you a nice little sleeper guy. Way down in the draft, you go sixth round. Sione Vaki, the other safety from Utah. He played safety and running back at Utah. So this is a guy that's special teams, kick return. Could fill in for running back if you want.
Right.
Speaking of running back, there's another position we need.
Well, before we get into running back.
Okay.
So the players that you had mentioned just now at safety, even though that they might need some work, that's where I give a lot. And this is saying a lot for me because I'm not a big fan of Robert Saleh. Not a big fan.
Interesting.
And even with Ulbrich, I was on the fence when we hired him as a defensive coordinator. But defense, what they've done to this defense, all for it. You get any of these safeties, I have full confidence in Saleh and Ulbrich to bring them up to speed. Like a guy like Will McDonald last year when the Jets drafted him, which again, like we had alluded to earlier in this draft, oh, that's the guy that we targeted. No, it wasn't.
No.
But he's on the team. And honestly, the players that they're surrounding this young kid with supreme talent, I think he's going to open a lot of eyes this year. I'm expecting probably 6 sacks from Will McDonald. Because of the kind of defense that we have. And
we saw that with Jermaine Johnson. He didn't play very much his first year. It kind of looked like a bust. You're like, oh, man. And then last year, he really starts to explode. I think you're going to see that same thing out of Will McDonald as he steps into that role. I was a little bit – I mean, dude, I love the Hassan Reddick move, but I was a little bit surprised because I thought that's what they thought Will McDonald would be. Mm-hmm. But, they love the rotation. They love the depth.
That's it.
And the point to the defense, which I think you're seeing Ulbrich learn on the fly here to say, the thing that killed us last year, the first 2 drives would absolutely murder us, right? Like we would give up points, we'd be down.
Yes.
And then as the game went on, by the time you got to the third or fourth quarter, that defense was on lock, right? We were wearing people down. The rotation was wearing out the offensive line. It was all the things that Saleh wants, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem is the beginning. Well, now, obviously, we heard from Sauce saying he's going to start shadowing the number 1 receiver. Man, I think that is huge. I think that will unlock that to say, okay, we're going to, just like Belichick used to do, we're taking away your number 1 option. You try to beat us with 2 and 3.
I mean, it's year 3 right now. To me, he's reaching Revis level. He's reaching that. And that's Revis level, Dion level, shut down corners. And Sauce has shown that in his rookie year, dude, lights out, bro. Out of last year, crazy. This year, he's really stepping into his own. And that's the wild part, right? When it's contract time, who do you break the bank for? I mean, it was phenomenal having those 3 first-round picks, which I'm going to add Breece Hall into that mix as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's why this window is so tight right now. Like, you need to win a Super Bowl here and now. And that's why this draft is that important. And
it really is.
Yeah.
And to that point, what we've seen from other teams is, as you start to pay the other players, as you start to pay the wide receivers, look at what Minnesota did. It's like, look, we're going to pay Justin Jefferson. Right. Or hopefully they will. We got to let Kirk Cousins walk, and we got to go with Sam Darnold or whatever we got to do, right? You got to get that rookie. It's why hitting on that quarterback is so important if we can get one this year, because then it allows you to say, Rodgers walks out the door. We hand out the money to Garrett, to Sauce. You hand out that money and you say, okay, now it's time to take the next step. On the defense too, the other thing I wanted to mention is, with the pass rush, the way it looks now, you got 4 first-round picks on that with Quinnen, Jermaine, Hassan Reddick, and then potentially Javon Kinlaw. That is so brutal. And if we're actually playing with a lead, which I know is a foreign concept, Jets fans, there is a way that you can score first and not actually play from behind the whole game. That if we can do that, man, and then you unleash that pass rush, and now Sauce can go target the ball. He can take those chances. DJ Reed could take those chances. Man, I think it's really good. I am interested to see what happens with JFM. Yeah. Because he's got a $16 million cap hit.
Oh boy.
I don't want to do the Carl Lawson, let's ask him to take a pay cut BS. I don't want any of that. Let's extend him. Let's extend Reed. Yep. Let's push this money forward. Again, all in means all in, right? Like, look, JD, if you don't do these things, you're not going to be making these picks. So you're not going to be around to sign any of those players you drafted. So I hope that those guys get extended. I worry that JFM might become either the take the pay cut or we'll cut you situation. And that would just suck.
That's probably what's going to happen. I just threw the link out there in the chat. Again, if you want to chime in here, to talk to this beast, draft analyst Jeff Bowers. By all means, call in. We have one here, a brand new subscriber to the channel.
Hey, ding,
David,
ding.
what is going on, man? Welcome aboard, brother, to the Jets Afterburners podcast.
I am definitely loving this.
Is that a Mickey Schuler jersey?
So this is my original Mickey Schuler jersey that I.
Yes.
Gotta stand up.
Stand up, show it off.
Yeah, Mickey.
Actually, my all-time favorite player,
Amazing,
Randy Rasmussen. So that's me.
Wow,
I love
epic.
this.
Cred.
I love this.
Massive cred.
Listen, I am all in on bringing in an offensive lineman, but you got a chance at Bowers. You take it as long as you can move back. Love Zach Sinter, and I think Jordan Travis is absolutely a great guy. But this is great enlightening. I'm loving the Jets history.
Old graybeards here talking about the old days, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Let me tell you something. I remember the Bob Cleveland Orchestra at Shea Stadium. So
oh wow,
back a long ways.
Bring them back to Citi Field, man. Bring them back. I mean, look, here in Flushing, they're about to build a soccer stadium. Obviously, 25,000 seater.
Yeah.
It's too small for an NFL team. But with that being said, Woody should pick up the phone and be like, look, let's do something together. Let's bring the Jets back here.
Did Chargers play at a soccer stadium?
They did, actually. I was about to say that. Yes, the Chargers. But, there's 4 Chargers fans in the world, so it's like the WNBA. It's fine.
Well, you know what? I wanted to touch up on offensive tackle here. Do we trust Joe Douglas to draft a tackle? I mean, like let's go down the list. Mekhi Becton did not work out. In the following year, we got AVT. He's awesome, but he's injured prone. Then Max Mitchell, and then Carter Warren. I know he's trying to do the right thing. I get it. I'm not going to throw it on him, but there's a lot of Jet fans, even before I came on live here, they're asking. Pose that question out there to your guests.
Yeah.
Do we trust Joe Douglas at 10 to select a bona fide offensive tackle with potential, or just play it safe? Go straight up, trade with the Titans, and get yourself Joe Alt, who is my personal. To me, there's just 2 players in this draft that I would ever trade up for, and that would be Alt and Maserati Marvin Harrison. That's the only 2 players that I would. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'll let you guys divulge.
So I could chime.
Go ahead, Dave.
AVT. I think AVT has proven to be the absolute best offensive lineman we've had, and I'm going to say since Brick. His 2 injuries were freak injuries, a torn pec and an Achilles. An Achilles at his age, that's a freak. He has proven to be the absolute best lineman we've had. He's played every position except for center. I trust JD on that. JD was a former offensive lineman. Becton had some motor issues, and I don't think he had good coaching. And again, he had a couple of knee injuries because he was like 700 pounds. So it's kind of hard to run on that. I mean, it's like saying, Chad Pennington was a bad pick because he had shoulder injuries.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I was at the game when they threw him out there, to get knocked out.
Yeah.
I trust JD on that. He knows how to look at that. I think Max Mitchell had some health issues that they didn't know about. Carter, I think, is a rookie and will be fine.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things. One, the thing on Max Mitchell for me, just to start there, you're playing a different system now, right? Like Max Mitchell was drafted for the zone blocking scheme, the previous regime of that offense where you want smaller, mobile offensive linemen. We are now more in a power set. We want guys that are going to be able to hang in there better. That's not Max Mitchell's game. I mean, he's just over 300 pounds. He doesn't have the length for any of that. I think he is just a product of changing the system, and it just doesn't work. Carter Warren, I think the Jets believe in. I think, that's a guy who missed all of training camp last year. He was great at Pitt when he was healthy, played through some injuries that last year and came in injured, which is why he was available when he was. I think they believe in Carter Warren as a swing tackle, and I like him as a swing tackle. Played great there at the end of the season, all of that. Mekhi Becton, remember, that was the draft that JD gets hired basically midway through.
Nobody was in that war room.
Exactly. Like he doesn't have any of his guys. He doesn't have any, like, it's just a whole mess. Right. And so,
though.
Well, and realize that, like, right after that, you had the guy to Tampa Bay who's been great. You drafted Mackay because he was a left tackle. And then the other guy who you thought was only a right tackle is now playing left tackle for the Bucs, and it's pretty good. So here's the other one that I think is interesting. And this is where I think the marriage of Woody Johnson and JD is a good match. It's like the odd couple a little bit. I contend, and I had it on very good authority, that if JD had his druthers the draft 2 years ago at pick 4, it would not have been Sauce Gardner. It would have been Ike Ekwonu. That is who JD wanted. That is who they wanted to get. They wanted to build the offensive line. He wanted Ekwonu. When the Texans did the dumb thing they did and Stingley went at 3 and they realized Sauce is there, Woody Johnson's like, nah, man, we are absolutely selling some Sauce jerseys with some medallions and everything. Like, I need my Woody diamonds.
Right.
So that was, and you see that at draft time, like realize the owners are the real bosses here, right? So if they come in and put their stamp down, we saw that with the Texans last year, where the Texans are fully prepared to take Will Anderson at 2. That was going to be the pick. Absolutely. No matter what. Cal McNair walks into the room and says, by the way, you're taking CJ Stroud, figure it out. And they were like, uh-oh. And so they made the massive trade up. They got both their guys, kudos to them on that. So I think Woody made the difference there. And I think that's great because, honestly, I think if JD was solely running this thing, we would have Derek Carr as our quarterback right now, right? It was the safe pick. It was the easy pick. It was the you don't have to give up draft capital pick. That would have been a disaster, as we now know. And it was Woody that said, absolutely, you're getting Aaron Rodgers. I don't care how it happens. So that aggressiveness with the stability, I think, is a good mix. I think they finally figured out that chemistry, and I think that this is a year where, I think Fuaga is absolutely JD's guy. I think if worse comes to worse, if the chips are down for whatever reason, I think it would be Fuaga in a trade back scenario or whatever the case may be. However, I think, Dave, as you said, I think you have a chance to get a guy like Brock Bowers to make that difference. I think Woody wants it. I think he wants to sell the jerseys. I think he wants the glitz and the glamour. I think that's going to be the pick.
Offensive lineman has never been a sexy pick.
Exactly.
But it's the smart pick. Woody doesn't know.
Here's another funny story.
Same guy that you can never have too much Tebow.
Well, it's crazy because not for nothing, when we selected DeBrickshaw, remember the plethora of Jet fans that wanted Matt Leinart?
Oh yeah,
like they
a lot of
all
boos,
wanted
man.
him. A lot of boos, except for Gary Vaynerchuk. That was the only Jet fan who I actually interviewed last year, who is out of this world. He was the one that was looking straight up at the camera, and he started doing this, like smart move, and that set us up. And thank goodness, at the end of that draft, we got Nick Mangold as well from that trade
Gary.
to Atlanta. Yeah,
Gary, sell some of those Bitcoins and buy the Jets. Come on, man.
Please.
That's what we need. That's what
bring them back. Bring them to Long Island. Bring them right here in my backyard. It's big enough.
Exactly. Okay, so here's a funny story you mentioned about glitz and glamour. Okay, so I'm here in Dallas, and I have to cover a lot of Cowboys stuff. The year that Johnny Manziel was in the draft, I was doing my draft analysis, and I'm on local radio here on the Ticket in Dallas, and I'm realizing that, like, if he gets past the Browns at 9, Manziel will be there at the Cowboys at 16. And so I'm on the air telling my mentor, Norm Hitzges, the great Norm Hitzges, this story. And he's like, I don't think so. I just don't see it. And I was like, man, it's going to happen. So sure enough, draft's going down. Manziel is on the clock. And everybody's freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh. Well, the story, of course, if you guys know it, is that Jerry Jones filled out the card for Johnny Manziel. He was ready to take that pick. And Stephen Jones walks over there and pulls the card out of his hand and says, we are not drafting Manziel. We are drafting Zach Martin. We're taking the guard, right? We're taking the smart pick. And they literally almost came to blows, like in each other's faces, yelling about this pick. Ultimately, Everyone in the room sided with Stephen Jones. They picked Zach Martin, which obviously has turned out to be a great pick. He's going to be an all-time Hall of Famer. And Johnny Manziel slides down the board, 3 more picks. To this day, Jerry Jones is still ticked about that.
Well, to David's point, it's not the sexy pick.
Yes.
But it's the smart way to go. If we're going to learn anything from last year, it's to protect your 41-year-old quarterback. If we're going to learn from our enemies, which is Tom Brady with the Patriots, and then when he goes to Tampa Bay had the blueprint. Arians is like, we have to protect him at all costs. You know, that's why they drafted Tristan Wirfs. That right there.
Yeah.
Protect.
Wirfs, yeah.
Make the line solidified. And I'm glad what, Douglas did, getting Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, Simpson. I love it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Let's not forget that they're injury prone. So God forbid one of those 2 bookends go down. God forbid. What do you have now? Do we trust Carter Warren over there? Do we trust a Bakhtiari who might sign with the Jets for a complete minimal package and whatnot? But that's even if it passes his physical.
Yeah, Dave, what do you think about that?
Listen, I go back to 98 when Parcells traded back from the number 1 pick, and we should have taken Orlando Pace, who was I'm great, and we got James Farrier for a couple of years before he went to Pittsburgh.
Oh my God!
Again, I'm
crazy, dude.
Well, you build from that's George Martin way of doing things. You build from the line. It's never the sexy pick. It's usually the right pick. But you get a playmaker like Bowers, like you said earlier. Bowers is another offensive lineman. He balances the line because linemen get hurt.
Yep.
So we just want an extra guy out there. And as long as we can get more playmakers to Rodgers, I'm all for it. But
and that's another point. Like, I was just saying that's another point. Like, with a guy like Zach Zinner, with a guy that with the depth, also in the interior line that I think is going to be really important to add this year. You've got Tittman, but basically all we have is Schweitzer behind him. I wouldn't mind if they brought back Connor McGovern. He's still on the street. But having that depth at those positions as well, because as you say, AVT is coming back from the injury. I think it's going to be it's going to be a little bit of a process there. But if you could go to the Madden settings and turn off injuries, this roster
awesome.
is the best roster in the AFC right now. Now, this is before any picks or anything else. But right now, it's us and Houston, I think, have the 2 best rosters, top to bottom, in the AFC, and that gives you the chance. Now, as you say, the depth is important. And it's something that Joe D, I think, has done pretty well in the past of building that depth. But the depth just got so tested. You're counting on a 40-year-old left tackle last year and Mekhi Becton's balky knee. And those guys go down like that. And now you're on a rookie Carter Warren and a guy who's undersized and Max Mitchell. And then beyond that, right? Let's not even talk about Billy Turner. So, man, it's just Rodgers is going to make a lot of those things better, being able to get rid of the ball and not running around like Zach Wilson did. But it's all of it, right? It's building all of the depth. And I think that if I'm looking for depth players, when I'm looking at a draft, I want to walk away with 1 day 1 walk-in starter in round 1. I want 2 guys in 2nd and 3rd round that are quality depth, that are going to play, that are going to contribute. And then I want guys that I think I can develop, are going to contribute on special teams, 4, 5, 6, and can turn into something going forward. So for me, that means Bowers 1 or Odunze, fingers crossed. Offensive line in that second, safety, and then quarterback, and then like I said, we haven't even talked about running back yet, where we need a little help there too. I think
we absolutely do. I mean, we can go free agent, we can go Kareem Hunt, we can go Zeke, which again, that's dividing a lot of the fan base. But to me, it's the short yardage that I want. I mean, we're all Jets veteran fans, where when we throw a 9-yard out and it's 3rd and 1, we know heart of hearts that we're not getting that 1 damn yard. We know it. We focus on it and we're like, dang it, man. He couldn't extend the ball just for a little bit just to get that first down. No, but Zeke can give you that. he'll be like our Leonard Fournette for Brady in Tampa Bay. I mean, I don't want Breece Hall going for that 1 yard unless it's 4th and goal on the 1.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm cool with it. But we need that. And then you're looking at a lot of these different running backs. And I'm looking at it here.
Oh, there's so many good ones, but
there's so many of them. I mean, who is your top guy?
Dave, you wanted to say something about Zeke. I saw the head shake there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want a reincarnation of Scott Durkin.
Why not?
Howard.
Heck yeah. Now, I will tell you, I thought last year, this is before Zeke all slimmed down and ran for the Patriots. I thought you get Zeke, feed him some biscuits, get him some New York pizza, and turn that dude into a fullback because the guy can pick up blitzers great. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Yep. Like, he becomes that short yardage back. That's what I would have done with Zeke maybe last year. Maybe you could still do it. I think it's a possibility. Okay. Running backs in this draft, there are so many guys that I really love in this. You've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of Jets mock drafts that have Estime, the Notre Dame running back, big boy coming downhill. The knock on him and where he really slid is because he ran so poorly at the combine. He ran like a 4.7, which was terrible, which his play speed isn't that. And one of the things I think fans haven't picked up on yet, but is in the scouting community, they're using AI now on watching tape. And you can tell how fast a guy is on tape with the AI, with the tracking. So a lot of those numbers, a lot of the 40 times, I mean, there's going to come a point where the 40 times, that's just for show. Like that doesn't even matter, right? Because they're going to know what game speed is on these guys, but just based on watching tape. So that's really kind of cool. And I think Estime, I mean, you've seen it, like when that dude breaks through the line, nobody's catching it. I love Jalen Wright out of Tennessee. I know that's a guy that's kind of come from way down. You know, I was getting him 5th, 6th round in some mocks, and now he's climbed up to where I've seen him 3rd, 4th round. So I think he's a guy I really like. But then there's, the other thing I think we really need is that 3rd down back, that real weapon out of the backfield. Dylan Laube out of New Hampshire, tiny school, converted wide receiver. Man, the guy, he catches the ball like a wide receiver. He's really, really good. If one of those 7th round picks, Isaac Gorindo out of Louisville, is big body, fast, ran a 4.33 at the combine. He's almost has no mileage on him because he's bounced around to so many different schools and he just hasn't played that much. But he's buried on a depth chart. Got to Louisville, finally showed what he was worth. So you got those 2 picks at the very end of the 7th round, the last 2 picks. There's going to be running backs there. Man, that would be a great place for one of those 2 picks. And then another guy to really watch for, and this changes gears a little bit, but a guy that I know they really liked. We talked to him at the Shrine Bowl. In fact, I did a really big interview with him. Fabian Lovett, the defensive tackle out of Florida State. Rotational guy. Was super hyped. In fact, it's very funny in the interview. I was talking about, man, what are you going to do when you get that first contract? He's like, bro, I've been making $2 million a year for the last 3 years. Like, I'm set for life.
Wow.
Like, I'm good. So he's like, that NIL money's good, But
I want.
But what's cool? Yeah, no kidding, right? But what's cool about him is he had a son. His son had some health problems, and it really matured him. It really made him appreciate the game and step forward. And in this last year, you watch his early tape and he's dogging it and all of this stuff because, he's a superstar. Now he really, I think, is committed to the game. And I know the Jets really liked him. The scouts were really on him at the Shrine Bowl. If he's Mr. Irrelevant, man, that would not suck because that dude has, 6'5", 310, everything that you want. And he's been a part of that rotation, so he knows how that works. That's another guy I would look for the Jets to target.
I would love that, man. I mean, just going back to the running back position, there's one guy I really like. He's going under the radar, and that's Braylon Allen from Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Guys,
no doubt.
Check out these measurables. It's like Brandon Jacobs, 6'2", 245 from Wisconsin. I get it. Money is tight with the Jets right now. If they can't land a Zeke or someone like with that caliber and whatnot, you get someone like Braylon Allen. right there just to back up Brees. And that third down back, we might have him with Abanikanda. That is a possibility.
I hope so. I tell you what I think about Izzy as well.
He brings speed that we haven't had.
Yes, exactly.
I hope
like from the Chiefs.
What's that? Yes. Oh yeah, like Pacheco. Yeah. I hope that they put Izzy on kick returns with this new kick return thing, and you got to do the everybody's got to stand around, the XFL kickoff thing we're going to be doing. Izzy in that kind of thing where he hits one hole, he is gone. There ain't nobody catching him in that type of thing. Man, I hope if they're listening, man, and the Jets lost they lost 2 coaches off the special teams crew, but man, I hope they could put Izzy back there to do some kick returns because, man, I think that guy could be special.
I love it. Now, you know what? We're about to wrap this up in just a little bit, but before we do, David, I want to ask you, how did you become a Jets fan?
There you go.
I was born into it. I think I was like 5 and I got a Joe Namath uniform for the holidays. And my parents had season tickets for the Mets and Jets. So I grew up Mets and Jets, and I grew up Islanders and Nets.
Mm-hmm.
So
it always is, right?
And Namath was such a force of nature that how did you not love him?
Yeah, exactly.
And
iconic
exchange. So me being, just like in high school and going to the games at Chase Stadium and seeing that, it just locked it in. And then in college, in the 96 team, I still have a bet with my college roommates. My college roommate is a Jet fan.
Mm-hmm.
Every game together. So almost 40 years we've been going to games together. Our suite mates were Giant fans, and we made a lifelong Super Bowl bet. This is when both teams were 10-1. Lifelong Super Bowl bet. $100 a man every time the Jets get in the Super Bowl, and we pay them $100 a man every time the Giants get in the Super Bowl. So
you're down some money, bud.
I'm down
a little bit, just a little bit.
All right. From a lifelong Jets fan, here's my question for Dave, which is, the Jets make the Super Bowl. It's in New Orleans. 1, are you going to try to go? And 2, and 2, what would it mean? The green and white confetti comes down from the ceiling. You win the game. What is your first thought when that happens?
I just hope it's not anticlimactic. And I hope I'm young enough to still be standing there. But my college roommate, listen, I was at the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh. There was a ton of ice on top of my beer. We were in the front row.
Right.
It just ran out of time, man. I think if that game goes 2 more minutes long, they come back and win the thing.
Well, listen, you can't front somebody 17 points and think you're going to win.
Exactly.
Well, the play right before the half, it should have never happened. They should have knelt on the ball. There was no reason to play hero right before going into the half. I'm telling you, if that play did not happen, we would be facing Aaron Rodgers, man.
I'm still traumatized by Keith Byers in '98.
Oh yeah.
And my wife.
Oh my God, you're right.
And we luckily, bad thing it did that it didn't happen, but it was going to be a major fight because I was going to be going to the Super Bowl, and she was like, "I'm giving birth in 2 weeks."
You're like, "Well, good luck."
Yeah.
So now it all makes sense. It was all for the better good.
Stupid fights had a half pick. I'm traumatized.
I hate Denver, man, just because of that. I hate playing in my high just for that. I remember the week before we played Denver. I was a pizza guy, and one of the customers was a big time Jet fan. He couldn't make it to the Jets Jacksonville game, the AFC divisional game. And he's like, "Here are 2 tickets." That was my first ever time going to a Jet game ever. Went there. It was out of body. It was amazing, out of this world. And I remember one guy holding his sign up, and it said, "Bring on Elway." And I felt so prideful because I come from a background of soccer. Like, it's Argentina, Boca Juniors. And when you go to those stadiums out in South America, dude, it's rocking. Like, you're like, I don't know who built this. And I don't think the structure is safe.
The whole place is swaying. Yeah.
Everything. And, it's wild because I know at one game that I went to out in Argentina, I kid you not, this is not made up. There are guys all the way at the top of the stadium with their legs dangled on the other side, rooting for the team.
That's amazing.
And that's the feeling, that passion that I felt when I went to that Jaguars game. And I was like, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Bring it. We're down, let's say, 10-0, whatever the case is, we're winning the game again. That's why when we were winning 10-0 going into halftime against the Broncos, you couldn't get it out of my head that we were going to win that game. We were going to win that game. And that one, out of all the games that I've watched as a Jet fan, that one hurt the most. That one.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. About blocking wide receivers earlier. That Jacksonville game was Keyshawn's best game ever as a Jet. And I'll go down and say Keyshawn and Brandon Marshall were the two best blocking wide receivers the Jets had. And I think Jericho Country always gets, goes under the radar, but I think he's one of the most underrated players we've ever had.
You talk about that passion of the home base, and I was talking with my buddy Jarrett the other day about if, again, let's live in fantasy land, we go on the magical run this year. Hell, I was thinking about this last year too, before 4 plays, that I would almost rather, like, if the Jets are in the Super Bowl, that's great. But I would almost rather have that AFC Championship game at home, at MetLife, with that crowd, with those people, with Fireman Ed and the new hat that he's bringing back the 86 helmet and all of this stuff. Like that's the environment I want, right? Like that's the goosebumps, 80,000 people losing their minds. Because if there's any fan base that deserves it, it's this one. There is not, I cover every league, every team in the league. I try to do it on a national scope, but with a local flavor. And I always try to drill down. That's what I hope makes our broadcast different, our draft coverage different, and all of that. And because I'm not looking at it from, the top down ESPN version, but you cannot find a more vociferous, pessimistic, absolutely will just go to the mat for their beliefs other than Jets fans. And like I said, if there's any team that deserves a chance to do it, it's this one.
Dude, we're seeing the Bengals make it.
I know
the Bengals make it. The Buccaneers make it. Like, what? It's the Cardinals.
And you can't find 6 Bengals fans outside of Ohio, right? And Bucks fans, there's a few in and around, but come on. Really, and just look online. We were talking before the show. Like, dude, if you wanted to start a Buccaneers podcast, you could do it. You'd be number 1, just like that. Jets podcast, there's a billion of them. And man, I gotta say, you're doing a great job, and I wish you nothing but luck on this because, like I said, it's a market. But man, again, kudos to you. I think you got good product and good stuff, and it's fun. I hope to be a regular guest.
Thank you, David. You as well, man. Please call back anytime, man.
Love this. Listen, it's been in my blood forever. And the last time I was at a home playoff game, my son that's graduating college in 2 weeks was just born.
Wow.
So that's
wow.
That's
dude.
Oh, that was a fun game beating up on Peyton.
Oh my God, dude!
Oh yeah!
Oh my God!
That was a great one.
But the week before, man, that was a complete dream scenario. Like, I remember reading the papers in the New York Post, and it said the only way that the Jets, I remember cutting this out and putting it on the pizzeria wall where I used to make a whole bunch of pies and whatnot. It said the only way that the Jets can win the AFC East is if Superman flies over Metropolis. And man, you remember? We had a root for the freaking Patriots, who were losing against the Dolphins at Foxborough.
Parking lot, and the guy across from us had a TV, so we were watching it. We went dark. When we went to Giant Stadium, the guys who I sat with, our rule was if we are walking down to our seats as the ball is in the air at kickoff, we're on time. If we were a second earlier, we're way too early.
Yep, absolutely.
Dude, I got goosebumps.
That game brings back so many memories. That was one of the loudest games I ever saw at Giant Stadium.
How was it when Pennington threw one out to Cribet, turned it inside, just hoisted that football right into the air, dude? Like you knew there was something special, man. Just that whole season. That whole season was the epitome of a roller coaster. Do you remember? I think it was 2 weeks before that. 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We lost against the Bears, and we were playing in like Illinois Stadium.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
because they were redoing Soldier. Yeah.
Oh my God, we lost our shot. Then we beat New England on a Sunday night game. I was at my ex-girlfriend's house. She was a Giant fan. That's the reason why we did not move forward.
Good for you.
Thank God. Right. Thank God. Thank God my wife is not a football fan. Like, I'm so happy. It avoids a lot of fights. But oh my goodness, it was wild, man. That game against the Packers, and then, dude, you went to the last one, bro, against the Colts. Amazing.
I went to the last two. I was at that Jacksonville game.
That was fun.
Wow.
Man. That was a fun one.
It's been way, way, way too long.
Yep. Let's bring it back. Let's get another one back here.
Yeah, in peace.
Yes, exactly.
And you mentioned Eric McMillan. That was my first jersey I ever bought. Was Eric McMillan.
Nice.
That's my guy, man. I have like the one that you have. I have a Ken O'Brien one, dude. That does not. If this can't fit me, like I think Mekhi Becton is thinner than me right now. If I put that thing on, so it is what it is, fellas. Thank you so much. Oh, David, I'm going to let you go because we have one more guest.
Listen, great show, man. I'm so
thanks, Dave. Great job.
We appreciate you, man. Jet up. So we're going to bring one more guest.
All right.
And got to warn you, this is an amazing guy. He makes his rounds around Jets podcasts. And he is really big on the Jake Assman show. He's awesome. I love Jake. Jake is we made amends yesterday. He's
absolutely
top of the line. But he is a Giants fan. So he may ask you some Giant fan questions. Ready. All right. Without further ado, we bring on all right. So before I bring him on,
preface.
Well, you know what? Let me see if you latch on to it. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to just let it play out. And I think you're going to catch on pretty quick. Again, this is very impromptu. I didn't expect him to come on. So without further ado, it is the great Midnight Bobby. Bobby.
How you doing? Nice to see
Bobby.
you. Hey,
what's up, buddy?
Jake is not mad at you anymore, he said.
No, because I made amends to him. It
wasn't you. It was your co-host. He was mad at.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know who the guy is. So he's not mad. So when you get that guy on, I bet be.
No. That wasn't the deal. That was not the deal, Bobby.
I still get to talk to him now.
Yeah. Well, yes. All right.
Come on. Be nice to me.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Do you
I love you, Bobby.
What's this guy on the top? What's his name?
Jeff.
Jeff. Do you ever watch the Jake Assman show?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what's going on in the Jake Assman show lately?
I don't know this particular story. What do we got here?
Oh, you never heard of Knoble from college?
Oh yeah.
You heard about him? You know what I did Wednesday night? I called up a fan and asked Keith McPherson about if he knows Knoble. He plays both positions, both ways, and he says, I never heard of him. What's the other guy who called up him the other time?
Right. There was another one. Dude, what they're doing to these poor sports, shows at WFAN and ESPN.
I did it on the ESPN this morning, too.
Oh, my God. Jeff, they are driving them crazy. they're looking them up. Like they're like, oh, Knoble? Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, he plays both ways.
Yeah, and they're like, where do you go to where do you go to school? And they're like, college. And they're like, yeah, what college? No, okay, I'll let you figure it out. Thank you. Have a great day. And they're going in circles. What Jay Hasman has created, and I think it was one of
monster.
That's such a great bit.
Hey, are you from New York too?
No, I'm actually from Texas. I'm actually from Dallas.
Oh, really? Oh, thank God you're not a Dallas Cowgirl fan.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Thank God. I'm a Giant fan. They stink.
Yeah, it's
when they got rid of, you know who I got mad when they got rid of?
Who's that?
Barkley. When they got rid of Barkley and he signed with the Smelly Eagles. Forget it.
I tell you what, his dad wanted to sign with the Jets, and I did too.
No, I wouldn't have mind if we went to another division, not our division, you dummies.
Yeah.
He's gonna run over our team 200 yards every game. I'm telling you, I put money on it.
Oh,
He's gonna run all of our defense like every other Eagle running back does to our defense.
I know the owner was ticked when that happened too.
He wanted to. Why didn't he sign him then? He wanted to play for the Giants. They didn't sign him.
Yeah, that's a rough deal. That's a rough deal. I like the story. I like the story Saquon was talking about when every time he played for the Giants, his dad was always in full Jets gear. When they played each other, he was like, "Yep, still in Jets gear. Don't care."
Well, that's fine. Oh, I wanted to tell you a story about me and my brother in Providence, Rhode Island.
All right,
love Rhode Island.
I told you that one, right?
No, you didn't.
Other day. Oh, I never told you that one.
No.
All right, so when I worked for Marriott in the Keene Dining Commons up in New Hampshire, we get discounts on hotels. So in Providence, Rhode Island, we went to see the Jets and the Patriots, and we stayed at the hotel. The New York Jets was staying there at the hotel with us, and we got all their autographs. We're on the elevator with Joe Klecko, Mark Estino, and Marty Lyons. Right?
Amazing.
And my brother comes out to Mark Estino. Remember he was married to the girl from that movie, Beverly Hills.
Red Sonja.
Yeah, the one that looked like a guy, that one. Yeah.
Not gonna touch that one. Not gonna.
Well, I think she looked like a guy, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, from Rocky IV.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also Beverly Hills Cop too. She was in too.
She was in there too.
Yeah, that's how I remember her.
What's her name again? Oh my goodness,
I forgot her name.
She's the one that went out with Flavor Flav.
Yep, exactly. On
the reality show. Yeah, I think so. So my brother asked,
Brigitte Nielsen. Brigitte Nielsen.
There you go.
Oh, that's who it is. Then
Good pull.
So my brother asked him, "How's your wife doing?" They're going through a divorce, and I thought Mark Islam was going to kill him. We're on the elevator with him, man. Joe Klecko, Marlon Lyons cracking up. They could not stand it.
My God. Yeah. The Nats, bro.
I want to ask you a question. When do you have my friend on?
We're gonna have him on. We're gonna have him on in about two weeks. It's gonna be a Saturday though. So
I'll be here.
Now hold on a second. Hold on a second. The thing is, I got to get in contact with you as well. So I have a Twitter. All right. New York Jets Dan 16. Send me a DM. All right.
Yeah.
So at least I can talk to you that way. Okay.
Oh yeah, sure.
So because if I don't have your info and I bring them on and you're not anywhere available, you can't hold that against me.
Oh no, definitely. No, I subscribe to you anyway.
Okay. No, I'm just saying if like I go live like we did today with Jeff and you're out there and
I was busy I saw you online. I was kind of busy with something else. I'm sorry. I had to do something.
No, it's all right. Life is.
And John Sterling retired today. That was sad.
That sucks.
I cried my eyes out.
No, he was great. Bobby, listen, man. Yeah.
One thing before I leave.
Yeah.
I met John Sterling and Michael Kay outside the stadium one time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Don Manley comes in, right? And he did give him a little boy an autograph. Kid was crying. I screamed at him. I called him, hey, you know what?
Yep.
So I don't like Don Manley, but I do like John Sterling. And they gave him kid the autograph. So they were too cool. When are your next live show?
We're going to go live on Thursday, an hour before the draft, because you don't want to see me during the draft. They'll cancel this show immediately.
Oh, yeah. No. There's a few Giant fans that have a good thing about the draft. Remember when they drafted Daniel Jones?
Mm-hmm.
Was going bananas.
I don't want to be anywhere part of it. I am keeping this as PC as possible.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Let's go Knicks, right?
Yes.
Let's go Knicks.
That's right. Let's go Knicks.
And who's your hockey team?
The Rangers.
Yeah.
Yours?
But
I'm actually a Stars fan, but I am rooting for the Rangers here. So I want the Stars-Rangers finals.
Let's go Rangers and Islanders. Thank you for having me on.
You got it, brother.
Thanks,
Have a great
Bobby.
one, man.
It is a pleasure.
Bye, guys.
All right, Dan, I got one last story for you.
Let's do it, brother.
You were talking about pranking the fan guys.
Okay.
So,
oh, boy.
So we're at Radio City. We're sitting there, and they're filming the Draft Day movie. So we had done the normal show, and they're filming the Draft Day movie, and we're kind of getting prepped for the draft that night.
Right.
Well, Goodell is walking out, and they're getting the film and the audio for, the various picks that were in the Draft Day movie, right? And so, they're telling everybody in the thing, like, okay, everybody be quiet. And Goodell walks out to the stage and announces this pick.
Uh-huh.
So my boss, Norm, turns to the engineer and says, hey, can you record one of these? And he goes, yeah, okay. So he records with the third pick, the Arizona Cardinals select some random cornerback from somewhere, right?
Right.
And so and he's like, okay, hang on to that. So we're on day 3 of the draft. It's like deep into the 5th, 6th round. We've been there for a few hours. We're all a little punch drunk at this point. We've been on the air the whole draft because Norm was the first guy in America to broadcast the draft wall to wall. Back in 1986, he calls up the NFL. This is back when it's in Madison Square Garden in the ballroom, right?
Sir. Yeah.
And he calls up the NFL and he says, hey, I want to broadcast the draft. And they're like, okay, that's great. You can, you can call in and do your call-ins and all this old stuff. And he's like, no. I want to sit in the room and broadcast. And the NFL's like, why? It's just a meeting where we're saying names. And they're like, he's like, well, and so he was the very first one to do it. And he did. I mean, that was back in the day when it was 12 rounds and the whole thing, right? So he's been doing it ever since. He just did his 10,000th pick all these years. Yeah. So anyway, so we record this pick. We're on the air. This guy named David Newberry, who thinks he's kind of a draft nerd. And they come back from break and Norm goes, hey, so the Arizona just picked a very interesting player. Let's play it. And they play the sound from Goodell announcing this pick. And the guy's like, they're like, Newberry, what do you have on this? And you can hear the pages scrambling and he's looking and you hear typing and he's like, Norm, I don't have anything on this guy. I don't know who this dude is. And we're just laughing.
That's awesome.
Oh, such a good prank. Like I said, just like the fan guys, like, yeah, let's just throw out this name. See and watch this dude just scramble trying to find something. Oh, it was great.
I love it, man. That is awesome, dude. It can't get any better than that. You need laughs, man. You need some laughs in life, man. Just getting out of your comfort zone, just chopping it up, just like how we're doing right now. This is what makes the community of the New York Jets that great in football in general, but more to the Jets. I mean, I'm very biased, obviously, but when you talk to all these different New York Jet fans, and they're from dude, you're in Texas, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out of this world. It just brings everything together. And that's why what you had posed to Dave was, when the Jets finally win the Super Bowl, what would be your first, initial response? You know what mine would be?
What's that?
It was all worth it.
Yeah, absolutely,
Everything.
man.
Everything.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I know all the guys that will think about their dads, all the guys that and their grandfathers going through all those games and all those years. For me, it's that same thing. It's the struggle that makes it so much sweeter.
Right.
Like, look, I'm around Cowboy fans. They got all their 5 rings and that they live in the glory days of 30 years ago that nobody remembers. And it's it's that one thing where you just say, man, it means so much more to this fan base, and they're so loyal and they're so pessimistic, and we're gonna boo the pick no matter who it is, because that's how we do, and it's okay. Like I miss the old Radio City Music Hall days where they would boo. It didn't matter who they picked.
It didn't matter. I loved going there. I loved going to Radio City. And when they have it at the Javits Center, it was fun because it was 2 days. That's all it was. It was Saturday and Sunday, 12 noon. That's when Tagliabue would come on and, welcome to the, and we would boo the heck out of it. Oh my goodness. That was so much fun. But obviously it's a different dynamic now. What Goodell has done to the league, it is what it is. It's a spectacle, and rightfully so. Rightfully so.
I will say what they've done. I hate not having it in New York, and I hope it does come back there at some point. But what they've done with this and putting it on the road, I've been to all of these now. The only years I missed were the COVID years, obviously. Mm-hmm. But what Vegas did a few years ago. I actually got married in Vegas when it was out there. So my anniversary's in 4 days. Nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
So Kansas City was epic. Just what they've done. I'm excited to see what Detroit has. I'm a little worried because it's Detroit, but and then next year it's going to be in Green Bay for the 90th draft.
Wow.
And that's the one where I'm really hoping that we have a streaming platform. I'm hoping to be broadcasting the draft myself, wall to wall. Dude, love to have you on. It'd be great. And hey, after the draft, you want to sit around and chop it up afterward and see how we did? I'm game.
I'm down. I'm just trying to look for a photo right now when I went to the draft in Philly, and of course, I can't find it. I thought I had it.
Oh, the Philly draft was great.
That one was one of the best ones I've ever gone to. Ever.
And that day 3, it was so hot on day 3 in that park. Oh my gosh. I went out there to try to buy something, and I was like, man, how is people not just passing out here? It was really funny. So the first year they went to Chicago, and they weren't sure what was going to happen. And so they only rented out half of the Big Hyde Park.
Right.
And it was packed. I mean, it was as packed as you've ever seen it. And so then the next year they were like, oh my gosh, okay. So they rented out the whole thing, and they had all of this stuff, and it poured rain all 3 days.
Yep.
And there was nobody out there. So then it was Philly. Then it was Tennessee, Dallas, which was a nightmare, and they'll never come back here. Because they tried to use the stadium, and it was dude, the league was pissed. They were not happy about it. But like I said, since then with the bands and now you get the local flavor of music, and all of this great stuff. Like I said, I'm really excited to see what Detroit has on deck with the music and Motown and all of that stuff. And man, it's so cool. It's such an experience. And if anybody has a chance to go, I highly recommend going. Dude, it is football Woodstock. It is everybody standing in a field, eating some stuff, hanging out. You see every kind of costume. You talk to different fans.
Everything.
It's so much fun.
Look, this is one of the pictures here. Let me see if I can pull that up. That was that was so much fun, dude. I mean,
yes.
I don't even know if I should show this one, but you know what? Since we're talking about it, let me say. I'll probably get in trouble for this one, but you know what?
This is right.
And here we go. There we go. That is a tribute to Bill Belichick.
That's it.
But that was fun. Like you said, it was the NFL Woodstock. And it was 2 out of the 3, the most beautiful days that you could ever imagine.
Yes.
And I remember my good friend and I, we rented a hotel. And it was early in the morning, man. Early. We would go there, and the streets are closed. We're bar hopping. We're meeting everyone, and meet Roger Goodell. We went all the way to the front. Obviously,
that's
we
amazing.
couldn't. But again, we didn't have no tickets or anything. We were by the gate, and he comes by, and I'm shaking his hand and telling him how much I hate him because that's right. But I don't hate him. I think he's awesome. Anyway, one thing led to another. They're like, the Philly fans are out of this world. And they had me as one of their own because they're like, as long as you hate the Giants, you're one of us.
You're in.
It was a mob. It was
Yeah.
one of the best. I can't lie. It was way better than Radio City. Way better.
Yeah,
Way better.
like I said, I think what they've done with that, and you know, you really you do see the fan bases that are really smart. You know, I remember it. You know, the draft would be going on day 3. I'm wandering around out there trying to buy some stuff in the shops, and you know, it's just they're announcing picks and doing their thing.
Yep.
And the Philly pick would come up. They say, okay, the Eagles, you know, with the you know, in the 5th round with the 189th pick, everything would stop.
Right.
And they'd announce some pick. It is some dude they've never heard of in their whole life, you know, some wide receiver from Virginia Tech. And a cheer would go up. Yeah, we got him. Oh my gosh. And you're like, you don't even know who that guy is, but it's fine.
No.
Like, it's great. Like those, the really smart fan bases, you know, I think I hate going to Denver. Denver fans are really great. Saints fans are really great. But then you have those fan bases that they're completely myopic. They only look at themselves. Obviously, I'm in Cowboys country. The Cowboys fan can tell you everybody on the Cowboys team. They couldn't tell you one other player in the rest of the league. You know, they only care about Dallas. And I mean, I guess that's great, but it's so much fun to just interact with all these different fan bases and like I said, and with the music and everything that they've put into it now, man, it's way cool.
Listen, man, if it's ever up here in New York or anywhere to the East Coast, you let me know, because I know you're going to be going there. Let me know. We'll definitely link up. It would be phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Jeff, listen, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's almost an hour and 36 minutes. We're just talking football. We're
talking ball, man.
We're enjoying life as Jets fans and college football fans. And again, 4 hours and 20 minutes, the freaking Knicks are back at the Garden, baby. I cannot wait.
It's so great. It's 1994 all over again. It's the Rangers are the 1 seed. It's the Knicks is the 2 seed. You got earthquakes going in New York, man. It's time. This is the time.
It's time. Exactly. That damn 94 was a fake spike. Damn it.
That's right.
Listen,
That's right.
Jeff, where can our fan base find you? Because
so
the intel you brought here is astronomical, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's at Sports Narrative on Twitter. It's youtube.com/The Sports Narrative. We put out our shows. We got a nice little boxing show called the Eating Leather Podcast. That's a lot of fun. We get a lot of great guests on there, and my buddy Darren is really great at that. We're going to have a new show launching Sunday mornings to a nice football breakfast show that we're going to be launching live shows on that. And like I said, and then I will be broadcasting the draft for KTCK, the ticket in Dallas. You can find it on the Sports Day app, sportsdaydfw.com. And like I said, man, and I'll probably be back on here again very soon, I hope.
I think so. Next Saturday, day 3, we're going to have Craig Kilborn on.
Dude, killer.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. So we're going to definitely pick his brain as well. So if anything, if you want to hop on, you know what? Don't hang up just as yet. As soon as, I close this up. We'll definitely talk a little bit more about it.
And then, like I said, next week you want to do something, we can do it. I can do it from here or live from my UPS truck, whichever works out.
I love it, man. Dude, again, thank you so much, man. This meant the world to me.
Absolutely, man. Go Jets.
Go Jets.